Devin Haney versus Frank Martin? Come on, who doesn't want to see that fight right now? Both came off of performances they're not happy with, and they're both amazing fighters. My name is Downey P. This is the Left Hook. Let's go. Okay, so obviously we definitely want to see the matchup between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. We got to see that rematch, of course. But does Devin want to jump back into that fight? I mean, I'm trying to just be realistic here. I don't know if he really wants to do it. I don't know if he's going to do it. He said forever that he wasn't going to do it, and then the last time I heard them talk about it, he said that that's what he wants to do because that's the kind of fighter he is. But that's what he has to say. I think we got the truth the first couple of times. You know what I'm saying? But who knows? Who knows? Maybe he does want to get at him, and I would love to see that fight. But if that's not going to be Devin Haney's first fight, then I think it's got to be Devin Haney versus Frank Martin, because Frank, Frank's got to be chomping at the bit after his last performance. Devin has to be chomping at the bit after his last performance. They both probably need to take the same amount of time to rest. I mean, Frank's took his defeat a little bit earlier, so he's had more time. But he took one shot, whereas Haney took a bunch of shots. So I think both of them are gonna need similar time off, and it'll just come back. It'll match up perfect. I mean, as far as when they're going to be ready to fight, I think they'll both be ready to fight at the same time. Secondly, it's a great fight, though. I mean, one thing about Frank Martin, he looked really, really skinny, really weight drained, and really depleted against Tank. His eyes are really sunk in, and I think a move to 140 might be the best thing for Frank. I love Frank Martin. I think Frank's a beast. Obviously Tank showed out, and let us know that he is the man at 135, no doubt about it. And he's one of the pound for pound, top 3 or 4 fighters in the sport for sure. I had Frank Martin, winning that fight. I thought he was going to win, but I was wrong. But I think that a move up to 140 might be perfect for Frank, because I think 135 is just a little too light for him, for him to be at his full power. He's a great boxer. I think he'll be fine moving up to 140. I think his skill level will, help him a lot at 140, and I think he'll be someone who can bring up. He's one of those guys that is going to be stronger at 140, even against 140 pounders, than he was at 135, just because he was so depleted. And we see that sometimes. A lot of times you get down in weight and you can be the one overpowering people, but sometimes you get too low, too light, deplete yourself too much, and you just can't perform. And I'm not taking anything away from Tank, because the guy was undefeated against everybody else at 135 until he fought Tank. So, we're not going to take anything away from Tank. But I do think that there is a good possibility that Frank is going to be a stronger, better, quicker fighter at 140. Then there's Devin. Obviously, Devin just came off of a loss by someone who can really crack with that left. Ryan Garcia, say what you want, pretty boy, whatever. Dude can crack. It reminds me a lot of Oscar De La Hoya, even though Oscar to me was better. But Oscar just had that way about him where you just, you didn't respect him as much until you got in the ring, and then all of a sudden you see him crack, and he's like, dang, the guy can fight. The guy can take a punch, he can hit. And Oscar was a very tough dude. And, Ryan, I don't know. Ryan's not, to me, he's not as tough as Oscar was as far as a fighter. He's definitely not. Oscar was a warrior. Oscar could take – I never even seen Oscar buzzed. I've never seen him dazed. I don't think he ever got dazed in his whole career. I don't know. But he'd been in there with some heavy hitters, some real heavy hitters, and guys that were bigger than him. I never see him dazed. But to go back to Ryan, though, Ryan is a hard puncher with that left. I mean, you cannot take that away. That left is dangerous, and that left will crack anybody and will hurt anybody. He has a great left hook, and people aren't. I mean, he's a big money fight too, and people aren't clamoring to fight him. They don't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like if I was Teofimo, I want to get in there with Ryan, because Ryan's going to be like one of the biggest paydays you can get. Same with even same with uh, uh, same, okay, same with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford. I just would. I feel like that's a great money fight for Terrence Crawford. I mean, he wants legacy, I guess, and that makes sense. But I'm saying, like, after Canelo, if you can't fight Canelo, I would want to fight Ryan Garcia. I feel like that's the money. And so at the end of the day, people aren't clamoring to fight Ryan. So I think that, that left is respected and his power is respected, more than people want to let on, especially after what he did to Devin. And then, Devin, great boxer, obviously, amazing boxer. Um, that left was just getting in on him and he could not avoid it. I don't know. That left is, maybe that's why no one wants to get at him now. No one wants to get at Ryan right now because of that left. They see that left is crucial. So, I don't think that, even though I like Frank as a fighter, I think he's really tough and strong. He probably doesn't have a punch that's quite as devastating as Ryan's left hook. Although, I think I would say Frank overall is a more skilled fighter than Ryan Garcia. Overall, I'd say he is. Ryan just has a nice left hook and he has really fast hands. And when you're great at something like Ryan is with that left, that's all. Sometimes you don't have to have multi dimensions when your one dimension is amazing. And I'm not saying he's got one dimension. I think Ryan's got more than one dimension. But I'm just saying, like, that left hook was what ended. Was what was doing all the work in that fight against Devin. So I think that Devin, would be a great fight for Devin to step up to after a fight with Ryan. A smaller man coming up. That's a great thing. He's shorter than you. Devin loves fighting guys that are shorter. I mean, all the guys he fights are shorter usually, except Ryan. But he's got that advantage against shorter people, where he's got the reach advantage. He's a great defensive fighter. So I think, and the other thing is, both Frank was calling Devin out. Like, before that fight he got with Tank, he was saying, I would love to fight, Devin Haney, and I'll stop that. He said he would stop. He thinks he would stop Devin Haney. And for Devin Haney, like, you don't want to go fight some bum. You don't want to waste your time fighting bums or warm-up fights. Those are wastes of time. Those are just more ways you can possibly lose to someone that you have no business losing to, or just having a bad performance against a bum. There's no reason. You can go up against Frank, someone who's a good fighter, who's tough, and have a great fight. Win or lose, you can still raise your stock against another good fighter. You can't really raise your stock against a bum, or an unknown fighter. I feel both Frank and Devin are really at the height of their, like, people know who they are now, even though they both just lost. Their well-known factor is at the top right now. And I think that's a pay-per-view fight. I think they could come together, make a pay-per-view fight, and get paid and get money. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's a great fight. I mean, if Frank goes up to 140, he's probably a top 5 fighter at 140. Haney is a top 5 fighter at 140. So you got 2 top 5 guys coming up. You got Frank coming up off of his loss. You have Haney coming off of his loss. People coming up, like, when you have 2 people coming off of kind of devastating losses, even though I know Haney's loss isn't a loss, they took that away, but in the eyes of the people, that's a loss. So, 2 guys coming off that loss, 2 well-known fighters coming off of losses against 2 2 of the most popular boxers in the sport. You got to parlay this. Don't go fight some no-name guy and have a bad outing, and then all of a sudden no one wants to watch it. You 2 fight each other, you live to fight another fight after that. You know what I'm saying? Because people are going to want to see your fight. They're going to want to see you, and they're going to want to see Haney, and they're going to want to see Frank. The other thing is, I think both guys think they can beat the other. I think that both guys are pretty confident they could beat the other guy. So that'd be a great fight. I think we should make it happen. Let's clamor for it. Let's get it going. This is the left hook. My name is Donnie P. Thank you very much.